What is up, Jets Roundtable? We're back. Let's freaking go. It's the heart of the offseason. I'm your host, Richie Malora. We got Jake Gasman, Matt O'Leary backstage, ready to go talking all things Jets. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're new to this YouTube channel. This is basically a new channel. We started it at the top of the season, but we all know the real season is now for the New York Jets because we can never be successful during the season. We win in the offseason, baby, but hopefully that will change one day. We're going to break down everything you need to know regarding your New York Jets right here on the Jets Roundtable YouTube channel, brought to you by Roundtable Sports. So without further ado, let's get the usual suspects in the building. Jake Gasman, Matt O'Leary. Let's freaking go. Jake, how you doing, brother?
Richie, I am fantastic. Hope you guys are doing well. Matt, it's a Thursday in Jets land. It doesn't get any better.
A Thursday in Jets land that doesn't get any better. Matt, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. We say it every week, but I got my dose of Jake Asman in the morning on his channel. And then again here, what's better than chopping it up with some of my favorites on our great, amazing football team?
Well, what was the topic? So give me a little rundown and a summary of Matt O'Leary's guest appearance this morning in the Jake Asman Show. What'd you guys go over?
Yeah, we were talking about Rich Eisen and his take on the quarterback situation and what the Jets should do. He had them even saying, which we both disagreed with, passing on Fernando Mendoza if he was there at 2 for some strange reason. And we got into a great debate with one of the great Jake Asman callers on Ty Simpson going number 2 for the New York Jets. It was amazing. Great time as always.
Yeah, great is one way to describe that call.
Oh, man. Well, that's why you tune into the Jake Asman Show, because you never know what's coming. But we do have some breaking news about where Aaron Glenn has been hiding. What? Where? Is that Aaron Glenn?
Who wanna fly United Economy Plus?
Where was this taken? Who took this? I got a lot of questions, Jake. Where did this come from?
I'll try to provide some answers here just based on Twitter. So this was tweeted out by a Twitter user named Vince at VincePaz1230 on January 18th. His caption was, "I simply can't escape Aaron Glenn." And then he tweeted earlier today, because it went viral this morning, FYI, for anyone asking, this was a couple days ago, flying back from Cabo, Mexico. So many are saying, if you're wondering why the Jets list of DC candidates is a bit underwhelming, well, maybe because the guy tasked with hiring his DC was getting a vacation in Cabo last week. So that might explain some stuff.
Well, we have some answers here now, which is extremely interesting, and I'm excited to break down here. I mean, what about that? We got Mr. Aaron Glenn flying home from Cabo. We're going to get into all the things you need to know regarding the DC search. But, Glenn, what are you doing over there? Is that where he's doing the interviews from? Cabo?
Well, the first ones were virtual, right? First round was virtual interviews. So you just need a laptop and internet connection, right?
Good point. Good point.
You know what? Maybe you're onto something there. He's sitting up with his feet up in his hotel room after getting a nice massage at the spa or something, or being on the beach or wherever the heck he's doing. Aaron Glenn is interviewing these guys. Very interesting there. But, folks, we're going to get into everything you need to know here. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you do not already here on the Jets Roundtable. We're live every single Thursday at 3 p.m. EST. Don't forget to check out Matt's channel and Jake's channel as we're here on the Jets Roundtable. So without further ado, let's get into the first business here. The Jets defensive coordinator search, Steve Wilks gone, and now we have officially found out the 8 guys that the New York Jets have interviewed so far virtually. There's a lot of guys on this list that I don't like, but there's like a little selection of guys I do like. So we're going to break it down right here in this video. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on your way into the Jets Roundtable. We got myself, Matt, and Jake going to break it down. So, Matt, starting off with you, where are you at with this Jets defensive coordinator search? Because before you say, you know, your favorites, I do got to mention this. Remember before they released the 8 guys, everybody was thinking to themselves, are the Jets just sleeping at the wheel? Like, what's going on? They're not interviewing anybody. And then I literally remember making a video thinking to myself, guys, we don't know what's going on. I mean, we know one guy. And then an hour later, they released these 8 guys that they interviewed. So they're keeping things tight somehow, which is a new thing. But, Matt, your thoughts of the defensive coordinator search as of today?
It's mostly uninspiring. There's like I think Jim Leonard would be a really good candidate. I think Durante Jones is an interesting choice. But beyond that, I mean, Matthew Arujo, or has already taken himself out of the running by taking a job with the Jaguars. So we're down to 7. I just don't really love that the two names that have circled kind of the most is Wink Martindale, and then you had Rich Samini saying that Jim O'Neill is a dark horse candidate, and Jim O'Neill was a defensive coordinator in this league a decade ago and had the 32nd worst defense and in San Francisco, and has kind of bounced around the league a little bit. So can't say that Jim O'Neill would inspire much confidence for me. If they somehow found a way to hire Jim Leonard, one, I'd be surprised, but two, I'd be a little bit excited about the future of this defense because I think he is by far the best candidate. But I don't really love this list. And, we also heard from Connor Hughes and Zach Rosenblatt that they reached out to some higher profile guys that were not willing to take interviews, said, no, I'm good.
Yeah. That's another thing I want to talk about. I mean, it seems like this isn't really an attractable destination for the other people trying to come in here. But in case you guys missed exactly who the New York Jets are interviewing, here is a list of the 8 guys. And I feel like it's a pretty interesting list if you do look at it from that perspective. Like you said, Arujo was out. You're not being a Jet. Jim O'Neill, dark horse. Jim Leonard, Wink Martindale. People are apparently saying Chris Harris is a rising star, even though the defense got worse when he took over, but we'll see. Jake, what's the latest you're hearing about the Jets defensive coordinator search, and where do you think they're going to go?
Well, one of the guys that took himself out, as Matt alluded to, kind of narrows it down to 7, right? And I do think Jim Leonard is probably the only name on there that would truly excite the fans. Like, he's a guy that's being sought after by other teams. He also might just stay in Denver. And we'll see if the Jets could officially hire him if Denver's eliminated or, if they go to the Super Bowl, how that would obviously impact the search for a DC. If the Jets are waiting and waiting, well, maybe that actually is a positive that they actually think they can get Jim Leonard should Denver actually win. He'd be the guy that I'd hire. I think he's the guy that most of the fans seem to want. Wink feels like the name that is the other name you hear the most. I don't love that hire. I think it'd be hiring a similar version of Steve Wilkes. I think if you're Aaron Glenn, you need to take the big swing on maybe like the next great DC a year early rather than a retread, because you need someone that could be innovative like Chris Banjo was. We didn't know much about him, and that was his best hire a year ago. So I don't think the list of candidates are great, and I'm also not surprised that they've been turned down by some of the higher profile DC coordinator options, because I don't think it's that appealing of a job right now, given the fact that the talent is not great on defense and the head coach is on the hot seat. So it could be a one-year job for anyone that takes it.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's not a lot of people out there that are looking at the Jets job as a must-have. And obviously, you can say that the Jets reached out to a lot of high-profile defensive coordinators, maybe former head coaches or something, and they're like, no thanks. Not a great look. And I think that my theory, and maybe this is not a theory, this is just me being hopeful about what's going on, because I agree, Jim Leonard is the guy that I want. And I sent this tweet out saying, are the Jets waiting for the Broncos to either lose this Sunday or until after the Super Bowl to hire Jim Leonard? Huh? Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. That's just me putting my theory cap on. Am I onto something there? Because there is something else that happened, that Braylon Allen is adding smoke. Is there fire there, though? I don't know if you guys saw, but Braylon Allen said, nah, bro, Jim Leonard's a Jet. Is he just saying that because of the Honey Badger and the Wisconsin connection? Or does he actually know something? Matt, I'll start with you. Does Braylon Allen know something that we don't? Because he said this on X. Hire this man as a defensive coordinator, Packers. Braylon Allen said, looks like a Jet to me. Whoa. Does he know something, or is this just wishful thinking?
I think this is more, hey, these are two guys one who coached at Wisconsin and the other who played running back at Wisconsin, and he wants his guy, is how I interpreted that. But I would hope he's right. It would be awesome. I would love if Braylon Allen was right and Jim Leonard came in and was the DC. But I'm not holding my breath right now.
Yeah, because there is other options out there. The Cowboys did not fill in their role. They apparently interviewed Jim Leonard, I believe. Commanders are looking for a new DC. Or did they hire their guy at this point? I forgot. I don't think so, right? So, interesting. Jake, your thoughts about Braylon Allen and saying that? Is there any reason to be like, he knows something, or is he just like a fan? He's like, I hope he's the guy. I don't know, though.
I think he's trying to manifest it, which I appreciate. I just, again, I'd love to be wrong on this. I give Glenn all the credit if he can get Jim Leonard on board and actually take this gig. I just would be really surprised. So I think Braylon Allen is just doing what we do as fans. He's just seeing the same reports we all are. He's a fellow Wisconsin alum, and he's just trying to manifest it, if you will.
Yeah, so actually, we do have news about the Cowboys did reach an agreement with the defensive coordinator, Christian Parker.
Right? Yep.
So that's actually big because I thought that Jim Leonard was going to go to either Dallas or the Jets. So Jim Leonard's a Jet. It's official. Kidding. It's not official. Don't you guys take that and run with it. But I thought that was a big thing to watch. So there is some news. Thank you to Common Country in the chat. Christian Parker to the Cowboys. I did miss that earlier today. Matt, does that make you feel any better about the scenario of the Jets landing Leonard or no?
One less opening makes it obviously a little bit easier. I do think the Giants are absolutely in play for him also. There were some rumors right after the John Harbaugh news came through and that Todd Monken would be following him, that they were looking into bringing Jim Leonard too, which I think that's a better situation. As much as it might pain us to say that or admit it, I think that's a better situation to go coach there. But you never know, right? Like if he really wants to get into being a DC and this is the year that he's going to do it, the Jets might be the last remaining stop, but I would still look at the Giants as a team contending to bring him into.
And I feel like we're at this stage, unfortunately, as the Jets, where the only people that want to become a Jet coach or anything is people that have any ties to the organization. Leonard played with the Jets, so he would probably have a soft spot for us. Wink Martindale, though, if Wink is the hire, what's your reaction to that, Jake? Are you pumping your fist? Yes, we got Wink, or is it just like, uh-oh, here we go? Like, how would you feel if Wink Martindale is the hire?
With the first pick in the 2027 NFL draft, the New York Times. Look, Wink is better than Steve Wilkes, but wouldn't that be the same exact process that led us to Steve Wilkes? Oh, bring in the guy who's been there, done that. He's been around. He'll come in. He's a name. He'll run the defense. Like that's what got you Wilkes. Like the only difference is Wink doesn't have previous head coaching experience. I mean, is anyone else interviewing Wink Martindale? Like, does he have any other DC interviews? I don't believe so. He's a guy that was not great at Michigan the last 2 years. He's trying to get back into the NFL because Michigan obviously has a brand new coaching staff with Sharon Moore having that scandal. So he's available in the first place. I think the fact that there's been so much smoke, it's been his agent really trying to put pressure publicly to get his guy hired. I mean, you have multiple Jet reporters saying that Glenn started speaking with Wink when the regular season was still going. So it feels like he's the favorite. And I just think that'd be, a very short-sighted move by Aaron Glenn. I don't think you're going to be able to really move the needle with Wink Martindale. I mean, he might be better than Wilkes, but is he going to be innovative and is he going to be a modern DC that's up with where the league is going? I would rather take a bigger swing on an up-and-coming guy than more of a retread. If you're going to do the retread, well, get Brian Flores or get Jim Schwartz or get Jonathan Gannon or get Raheem Morris. Maybe some of those guys I mentioned turned them down, but I'd rather take the swing on the younger up-and-coming guy than a retread in Wink, who has not had a really good defense since pre-COVID.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other names outside of Wink and Jim Leonard, of course. Is there a third favorite that you like on this list, Matt? Is there like, okay, Wink is out, Leonard goes to the Giants hypothetically. Who would be the next guy you'd want?
I think Jones. I think Jones would be my choice after that, just because he hasn't done it yet at this level. So there's obviously, it's not a slam dunk, but I think him working under Brian Flores and essentially being his right-hand guy in Minnesota is intriguing to me. They have one of the best defenses in the league and have for the last couple of years. So if you're going to pick from somebody's tree, I think that's the one that would make the most sense to go down. So if, Leonard was off the board, I think that's probably who I would go to next.
Or you can go DeMarcus Covington, who's the DC under Gerard Mayo. That would be fitting. No thanks. Right?
Look, when you have a chance to hire the DC of Gerard Mayo's one and done staff, you got to do it.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. And we have Patriots fans saying that Aaron Glenn is our version of Gerard Mayo. So it's not a great look right now for the Jets, and it really puts Aaron Glenn in a high pressure situation where you're trying to bring in high profile guys. They're literally saying no. So now the pressure's on you, Aaron Glenn. Yeah, of course, the defensive coordinator you hire is going to be big, but you are the one that needs to build this defense, bro. Like, you're the defensive mind. I get you're a CEO style coach. You don't want to be hands on and call the plays, but man, oh man, we're going to have this defense get figured out, because if you can argue these playoffs has been more defensive minded than anything. Like, it's really hasn't been like high prolific offense with crazy quarterback play. It's been turnovers. It's been defense. It's got the New England Patriots defense forcing crazy turnovers. The Denver Broncos, the Seahawks defense is ridiculous. The Rams defense as well. Like, if the Jets want to be competitive next year, they got to figure out this defense. And it starts with the defensive coordinator, of course. Right? So if you guys enjoyed the defensive coordinator search segment, let us know in the comments. Who do you guys want the New York Jets to bring in as their next defensive coordinator? Comment your thoughts down below. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you did not already, and subscribe here to the Jets Roundtable. So, see you next week, Jake. We're going to the Senior Bowl. Matt, I wish you were coming too, brother, because it would have been nice to have you to look at all these Senior Bowl prospects, because there's a lot of prospects that's going to be at the Senior Bowl. We actually had some new guys that announced got accepted to the Senior Bowl in this week after the championship game, which was awesome as a Jets fan. Ruben Bain's going to be there? What? I did not see that one coming. We also got David Bailey. I think those are the two guys that are the only guys that's going. Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, that are options for the Jets at number 2. I think that, the quarterback class is interesting at the Senior Bowl. You got Garrett Nussmeier. You got Pavia, you got all these other guys we're going to keep a close eye on. You got some intriguing wide receivers, I think. So what's your guys' thoughts heading into the Senior Bowl? Jake, this is your first time covering it, but what are you looking forward to the most at the Senior Bowl this year?
The party vibes, man. Mobile. They call it the Vegas of Alabama. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm excited to be down there with you, Richie. We'll have a lot of fun. Look, I think you kind of nailed it, right? Ruben Bain and David Bailey in play for the Jets at 2. So from that perspective, we'll be locked in on them. And among the quarterbacks that I think could be on the Jets' radar, Garrett Nussmeier, who a year ago was projected to go first overall in Todd McShay's way too early mock draft to the New York Jets. So that was a year ago. Nussmeier did not have a good final season at LSU. They had the coaching change. He played through injury. It was a mess. What if he's now healthy? What if he looks really good? Could he elevate his stock to day 2 status? And the Jets with their 2 second-round picks, is he in play for them there? I could see it as a possibility, so I'm locked into him. And it sounds like we're going to get some of the guys beyond just Ruben Bain who are in that national title game participating. I mean, we'll see Elijah Surratt. He'll be fun to watch. Another wide receiver that played big-time college football, Casey Concepcion from A&M, is projected to be there as well. So there'll be some guys that I think the Jets will be looking at closely, either at 2, pick 16, and then even, of course, one of those 2 second-rounders they have. So I'm excited to be out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that rise that you don't see coming. You go to Mobile. That's why it's called the draft starts in Mobile. Like, this is the kickoff of the NFL draft season. And there's going to be a lot of interesting guys that I'm excited about. Stacked wide receiver class in terms of how many people are coming. I mean, you can see the laundry list of wide receivers that is going to be there, which is going to be a lot of fun. Elijah Surratt, like Jake mentioned, is one that I'm super excited about. Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M is someone that I like as well for the Jets somewhere in the draft. And the Jets are going to be drafting a wide receiver. Will they draft them at 2, 16, 33, third? Oh, they don't have a third round. 4th round, 5th round? You never know. So a lot of intriguing names. Matt, where are you looking at the Senior Bowl in terms of guys to look at from a Jets perspective? Anybody you got your eyes on?
Yeah, I mean, a few that you just mentioned, the 2 top guys for the number 2 pick. I think we'll keep a close eye on the edge rushers. I don't know how much more they really need to prove. I think the game tape really speaks for itself, but I'm sure they'll practice the first day and then get out of there, similar to what Jermaine Johnson did all those years ago. I also am going to be keeping a close eye on Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's going to be a favorite of some if you're looking at a quarterback outside of the first round for the New York Jets. And a wide receiver target that I really like at the top of the second round, you guys mentioned it earlier, Elijah Surratt. I really think he is one of my key targets for the Jets at the top of the second if they don't go wide receiver at pick number 16. So I'll be keeping a close eye on him. But it's just really fun, to get the clips and the videos out there and all the coverage of these prospects competing against each other. So really looking forward to next week.
Are there anybody in terms of the quarterback position we talked about? Like, it's good. It's such a mystery of where the Jets are going to go at quarterback. Obviously, we can have a whole hour plus long show just about that topic. But do you think that the Jets are drafting a quarterback this year, even if it's not a number 2? Like, do you think they're going to find somebody? Because there's a very good chance that one of these quarterbacks at the Senior Bowl could be a guy the Jets target in day 2 or day 3. So any of these guys, you think, whether it is Garrett Nussmeier that Jake alluded to, or a Cole Payton, or a Diego Pavia, or maybe it's someone like a Ty Simpson. Obviously, that's not going to the Senior Bowl. But what's your thoughts of the quarterbacks going to the Senior Bowl, Matt?
Yeah, I think you absolutely want to take a look at these guys. I would be pretty shocked if the Jets don't take a quarterback at any point. That's not to say that it's definitely going to be a first-round quarterback. It still could be. I think Ty Simpson is in play for them in the first round, but it'd be strange to see them just only go the veteran approach. I think they need to completely redo that quarterback room, so that likely means adding someone at some point during the draft. And the Senior Bowl is a perfect time to get down and see these guys. It's not always a easy week of practice for the quarterbacks, right? Because they've never worked with these receivers. The timing isn't always there, but curious to see who's going to stand out the most among these guys.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well. I think that the quarterback class is intriguing, and there's apparently some corners that just got accepted. The Miami corner that apparently is the top slot corner. The Jets, are they rolling with Brownlee as their starting slot, or do you think they're going to go into the draft to find that? Because what's his name from Miami? He just declared to the Senior Bowl, and he's one of the top slot corners entering the draft. Let me make sure I remember his name. It's Keontae Scott is the guy from Miami who is officially going to the Senior Bowl. So keep an eye on him. I'm going to have my eyes glued. The Jets need help in the secondary. How do you think the Jets are going to approach the secondary this offseason, whether it's free agency, whether it's the draft? You trade away Sauce Gardner. You traded for Jarvis Brownlee. You have Brandon Stevens. You have Azareye'h Thomas. I know last week's episode, Matt, or previously, you said you'll be comfortable with those 3 as your starting trio. But is there a world where the Jets replace a Brownlee in the slot, or replace even Thomas, or replace a Stevens this offseason in the secondary?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to rule it out. I'm not saying that I think like the cornerback room is set for the next 5 years and you don't have to worry about it. My reasoning behind it was more so that I just think that there are bigger holes on the team. But, similar to last year, going into the draft, corner didn't seem like a big need. And then the Jets at the top of the 3rd round, they end up taking A.Z. Thomas. And it came as a little bit of a surprise because you were thinking, well, you have, Sauce Gardner and you have, Michael Carter at the time and you signed Brandon Stevens. So what was the play there? But if there's someone on their board that they really like and view them as an upgrade, then yeah, I don't think you can rule it out. My point from earlier was more so that, again, that I just think that there's other bigger issues on this defense in particular. So, we'll see what their approach is.
What's your thoughts of that, Jake? What's the approach for the secondary entering the free agency and draft? Do you think they're going to be aggressive and draft someone or bring someone in free agency at that position that is high profile?
I could definitely see them looking to make major improvements to the safety spot. I think corner's still a need. I don't think anyone should be handed a starting spot on this team, including A.Z. Thomas, because while he was impressive when he played, he still only appeared in 8 or 9 games as a starter and got hurt. So I don't want to hand anyone anything. I do think Brownlee has the leg up to be the nickel, but if they go BPA with one of their premium picks here, and it happens to be a guy that could play corner, I don't think I'd be stunned, because the defense, again, they had 0 interceptions this past year. They need playmakers. And if you think you could find a big time talent when you're on the clock, let's say at 16, I don't think we could just rule it out, even though they do have some young guys that I think we like. But again, you had 0 interceptions over 17 games. So I think everything's got to be on the table.
So here is the coaches that it's going to be there at the Senior Bowl. There's actually some Jets coaches going. Coaches that I never heard of. Junior Taylor. Who's that? Anyone?
One of them is the wide receivers coach, and the other one was a special teams guy. So I guess Taylor's the wide receiver one, and then our assistant special teams coach is the other Jet-related assistant, I believe.
Offensive line coach for American is Brian Natkin, and then you have Junior Taylor, who is going to be the wide receivers coach for the New York Jets. Always good experience to get your own coaches there, which is a positive. I remember that year where we had the whole Jets staff at the Senior Bowl.
They don't do that anymore. By the way, the coach I was
don't.
confusing is coaching the East-West Shrine Bowl. So the Jets have an assistant on the East-West Shrine Bowl staff, and they have 2 on the Senior Bowl staff.
Got it. So the model's changed, right? It's not the one team's coaching staff takes it over. Now they're bringing multiple different ones.
Yep, that is correct. They stopped doing it where the full staff would get the coach teams for competitive advantage purposes.
Because what's his name stepped down from, was it Jim Nagy? He was the face of the Senior Bowl, and then he kind of stepped down as the executive. So
he runs Oklahoma now. He's the GM of their football program.
Yes, he runs Oklahoma. So you got these are the 2 head coaches. The American team will be led by Joel Thomas of the Saints. The national team will be Cliff Hurt of the Eagles. So that's your 2 head coaches. Different approach here. But I love the Senior Bowl, man. And last year was such a crazy experience for me. It was my first time being hands-on in a media setting. And I'm excited to be there again this upcoming week. Make sure you guys let us know the guys you want to bring in. They also got a new sponsor. Kiss the Reese's Senior Bowl goodbye. It's the Panini Senior Bowl.
Nice.
No more Reese's, man. I like the Reese's branding, but that's
I'm allergic. Can't have peanuts.
Well, there you go. And then you like paninis,
Really?
right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all nuts, peanuts, tree nuts, D's nuts. Can't have any of them.
Wow. Well, that's good to know. Matt and I share an allergy, you know.
I like how Richie just rolled right through that one. That was great.
Well, it's just expected, you know. Do you know what Matt and I are allergic to? Gluten.
Is that right?
Yes, celiac disease, baby. Let's go.
Celiac
brother.
disease. We're actually building a podcast for the offseason, Celiac Media.
I'm in.
We're going to start a celiac roundtable. We're going to
It might get more views than regular season Jet roundtables. If
Come
the
on,
Jets are
Matt.
as
Let's
bad
be
as we
gluten-free
think they might be.
influencers.
We can do it. I'm sure we could be the new what? Who is it? Phil hates gluten. That's
Yeah, dude. Phil hates gluten. That guy's awesome. I love it. All right. All jokes aside, fellas, first super chat of the show. Fellas, Woody needs to make Jim Leonard the highest paid DC in football. Muji needs to tell him he will have input on the number 2 pick. Leonard is the guy. We talked about it before, and I agree with everything you had to say, man. I really, really do agree. I hope Leonard is the guy. I think that would be the hire that would absolutely spark some life, especially in fan base, because a lot of the fans are not really energized in terms of believing what's going on. I think a Jim Leonard hire would go a long way. So thank you so much for the super chat, my man. Really do appreciate it. We got another super chat from you. Dream draft is Arvell Reese, Ty Simpson. Who you copying Mel Kiper? Elijah Surratt, Dylan Thinneman. We have too many needs to take another corner. Thank you guys for this. What's your thoughts of his mock draft, Matt?
I like it a lot. I mentioned Surratt at 33 before, and this is a man after my own heart there. I also like Thieneman, the safety out of Oregon. That's a good one. Arvell Reese, I think, is an exciting prospect. And some are going to say 16's too early for Ty Simpson, but I think he's going to go in that range. So that wouldn't surprise me at all if this is the route that the Jets ended up, deciding to go here.
I could see Ty Simpson be a late riser in the draft process when it starts, just because of the premium position that it is. We see that every year, but I don't know. Drafting a quarterback at 16 that you're not in love with is a big risk. The Jets better be in love with him. They draft him there. We should bust a nuss in round 2. Go Jets. Okay. I think he means bust a Garrett Nussmeier.
We should bust a...
He means something.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know if you have another one, Matt.
No. My thought was Garrett.
Oh, my gosh. Let's go, man. Let's go. All right. Well, let's get into the latest New York Jets news around the world of the New York Jets. There's a lot of things you can talk about, right, regarding the overall news in terms of where the Jets are going to go You got the draft, you got free agency. There's so many different things that you can really bring up in terms of this Jets football team. But regarding the strengths and the weaknesses of this roster, I want to hear your guys' thoughts of this, because right now what the front office is doing and what the coaching staff is doing is they're taking a deep dive into the actual personnel that's on this team right now, looking at the pending free agents, looking at the guys they have under contract, and they are grading them, figuring out where are our strengths, where are our weaknesses. We can all agree there's way more weaknesses than strengths on this roster. So the question is, if there is strengths, where is it? What part of this team do you think there literally is a personnel strength that could be built for the future? I'll start off with you, Matt. Is there any strength that you see on this Jets team that you feel like can be built to become a very good unit for this upcoming season with more additions in the offseason?
So as is good or needs additions and then can be good? Because I would say
it is good right now.
It
has like a foundation of strength.
Okay. Offensive tackle. I think you're good there with Armand Membu and Olu Fascia. And you could probably extend it throughout the offensive line, right? And just include like Joe Tippmann. And obviously they're bringing back Josh Myers. The decision to make at left guard. But I would say overall offensive line is probably this team's biggest strength outside of, unless you want to talk about punter, right? But I don't know if I have it in me to do 5 minutes on Austin McNamara here.
I don't know. I may need to hear 5 minutes of that breakdown. That sounds fun. But I feel like the Jets' strength is obviously the offensive line, and that's a big reason. That's a big thing. You know, it's not something you want to gloss over. But how good can the offensive line get? Say they don't get Linderbaum, and say they bring back ABT, and Myers is the guy at center. What's the real potential with this offensive line? Another year of understanding each other. Start off with you, Matt. Again, just because you brought up the offensive line, how good could this offensive line be without making any more huge additions?
So, let's just say they decide to retain either John Simpson or Elijah Vera Tucker for left guard. I think this is still an above average unit, somewhere between the 10 to 14 range. If they were to add a big fish like Tyler Linderbaum, I think that's what could catapult them into being a top 10 unit in the NFL. But even if it's kind of just like, hey, we're going to retain our starting five from last year and just roll it into another year, I think this is, above average unit, somewhere between 10 to 15.
Now, is there any other strength that comes to mind for you, Jake, on the defensive side of the ball, or is there zero strength on this defense and there's no strength outside of the offensive line? Your thoughts of a strength on this roster, the way it's constructed heading into the offseason?
Can I say kicker and punter? I mean,
yeah, it's
Nick Falk's amazing. Austin McNamara got snubbed for the All-Pro team. He's fantastic. Falk got snubbed for the Pro Bowl, by the way. I feel really good about our special teams unit. We'll see if they bring back Kene and Wanu and what happens with Isaiah Williams, but I feel good about that unit overall. So I think that's a real strength. That's solid. Matt nailed it with the O-line. You do have a number one wide receiver. I think if they bring Brace back, you can feel pretty good about the running back room. So I don't think they're that far away there. I actually feel okay about the defensive tackle situation with Briggs and Phillips for another year. They certainly can add to that. But then really outside of that, I think it's mostly weaknesses from that point on.
So would you count the edge rusher position as a weakness with Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald?
I would, because Jermaine did not have a good year. Now he's coming off the Achilles, but still. And, Aaron Glenn said he'd coach up players, and most notably, Will McDonald was, with it being mentioned in that it's coaching quote. And he had a disappointing year. He had 8 sacks, but 4 of them happened in one game. 2 of them happened in week 1. He was basically absent for the rest of the season outside of those moments.
Yeah, the defensive line, and I'm happy you brought up Jawan Briggs and Harrison Phillips. And what's a consistent thread in what you mentioned is those two guys were acquired by this regime, which I think is important. That was Darren Muji bringing them those guys. Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, that's previous regime things. So that's why I'm really intrigued by this offseason, because I'm really excited to see what players this coaching staff and what this front office is going to bring in that fits their model. We saw last year they brought in Stevens, they brought in Fields. They had their first chance, but now they're going to get another chance. And I think that Jawan Briggs, if there was the biggest strength of the defense, it is finding him for the value that they got. I really am all in on Jawan Briggs. And then Harrison Phillips, he's that perfect culture guy. Leader, He is an extension of Aaron Glenn in terms of really buying into him. He's just saying the right things. You need that positive energy in the locker room that has been around the league, that has that veteran presence in Harrison Phillips. So I think they should definitely draft a defensive tackle that can learn behind those two, whether it's on day 2 or day 3. But I do think the defensive tackle position is a strength. So you got that as a strength. Nowhere else in the defense is a strength, you can say. Linebackers is not a strength. Corners, no more. Safety's absolutely not. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we talked about offensive line. You got a number 1 receiver. What's your guys' thoughts of the receiver room outside of Garrett? Like, how do you look at A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie? Are they going to be part of this offense? They're going to draft a receiver, and I also think they're going to sign a receiver. Where does A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie fit into this offense in this upcoming year, Matt?
Yeah, I think and I know these wide receiver 1 versus 2, 3, the rankings kind of changes throughout the week, but somewhere around the team's 3rd and 4th receiver would be my guess. I think they add someone either through free agency, trade, or the draft that really is more of your prototypical number 2 receiver. I think for both of those guys, they showed signs of being contributors. I just don't think you can go into next year and be okay with A.D. Mitchell as that prototypical number 2 and then John Mechie starting in the slot. I just think you need a little bit more there in that wide receiver room.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, we saw glimpses of hope with Mechie, then he had a drop problem. We saw a glimpse of hope of Mitchell, and then he kind of fizzled out. So I think those two guys are part of this offense that the Jets are going to try to implement, but of course they're going to add some more pieces around it. All right, the more fun part, weaknesses. Ooh, everything. All right, so there's a very interesting way we can go about the weaknesses side of the roster. Okay, like when I say what's the biggest weakness of this football team on this roster personnel-wise, Jake, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Probably the linebacking core was the first thing. I just have images of this entire linebacker unit being sucked in on play action seemingly every single game. I mean, where do we start, right? I mean, you could say really all levels of the defense. I mean, obviously, the most obvious is quarterback. I feel like that goes without saying. We started Brady Cook for multiple games this season, and Fields was an abomination, and Tyrod is always hurt and is a backup. So outside of the obvious in quarterback, I feel like any level of the defense you want to pick, safety room, you want to go corner, it really doesn't matter. I think it's a glaring weakness.
Yeah, and it's quarterback is the most obvious answer. That's been a weakness forever. As long as I've been alive, it feels like. So until they figure that position out, nothing really matters, in my opinion, because you can bring in all these guys around the quarterback and nothing will really matter if you don't have the guy. Because if you look around the playoff teams, like Drake May, for example, the Patriots, do you look at that Patriots roster and you're like, wow, they're talented? They're really not. They're playing extremely well because Drake May is putting those guys in situations to succeed, and Mike Vrabel is as well. That's what the Jets need, is a franchise quarterback that can level up the team around him and a coach that can get the most out of these players and make those no-names into names. And the Jets do not have that right now on any stretch of the imagination. So, Matt, weaknesses on the roster. There's a lot of guys, a lot of different positions, but where do you want to go with this?
Yeah, I think the two that jumped out in my head immediately were quarterback and safety. I think those are two rooms that just need to be completely redone. I know you have Malachi Moore there in safety, and I think he can compete for a starting job, but I don't think he played well enough to just go into 2026 as the definite starter. That's one of those rooms where I think you're likely signing someone in free agency and also adding someone in the NFL draft. And then, as we know with quarterback, Justin Fields is going to be a post-June 1 cut. Tyrod Taylor is 37 and a free agent. You brought in Bailey Zappi, I guess, to compete with Brady Cook. So QB3 will be one of those two guys, but I think you need to find both a veteran and probably someone in the NFL draft to round out that room.
Now, this position, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Strength or weakness, and it cannot be down the middle because I feel like that's the answer. Tight end. Is that a strength of this football team or a weakness?
I guess I'll lean more strength because I do like Mason Taylor. I think he'll be better in year 2 than he was as a rookie. They could upgrade it, though. I bring it back Ruckert is fine as if he's the tight end 3. If you got a chance to sign, Kyle Pitts, for example, in free agency, or draft someone, or I think what's his name in Cleveland is a free agent as well. Like I'd be open to doing something along those lines. I think they can improve that room with another addition. Njoku is who I was thinking of. Like he's available. Isaiah Likely is available. I'd like to see them add one more player to that room, but I don't think it's a weakness. It's probably not a strength either, but I lean more strength.
Yeah, I'm with Jake on that one too. Like I think calling it a strength is probably a little premature, but it's definitely skews more towards that side than it does weakness side. And I agree, they need another body there, and that could come in either free agency or somewhere in the NFL draft. I'm a big Mason Taylor guy. I think he'll look better with better quarterback play, but can still use another body in that room.
Now, when it goes through the rookie class from last year, who do you think in the rookie class is on that strength side and weakness side? Because I feel like it's kind of down the middle in terms of the draft. Armamembu a hit. Mason Taylor, I would say, like we just talked about the tight end room, solid rookie season. Unfortunately went down with an injury. A.Z. Thomas, solid rookie season, but he was in and out of the lineup, very inconsistent. We don't really know. Such a hit or miss. Malachi Moore is that piece of this draft class last year that I think has a chance to be a big piece of this defense. Is Malachi Moore the starting safety for this football team next year? Matt, what are your thoughts on Malachi Moore? Is he starting, or are the Jets going to replace both positions?
I think he'll play a decent amount, but I don't think he'll technically be a starter. I think he'll be like the third safety that rotates in certain packages and maybe also lines up in the slot to spell Jarvis Brownlee a little bit. But I think they'll sign someone. And really, it depends on where they draft the other guy, right? Like if it's somewhere in the first 2 rounds, that guy's probably starting. If they find more of that free, prototypical free safety and free agency, and they're going to have Malachi Moore and let's say another 3rd or 4th round pick compete for the starting strong safety spot, that I think I'd be okay with.
And then Arian Smith, is he going to get cut? Like, is he a bust already, or does he have any special teams value? What are your thoughts of Arian Smith, Jake? Because talk about an underwhelming rookie season.
I mean, that was the guy that Aaron Glenn couldn't wait to praise and go at the media over the summer. Oh, the guy that can't catch? Well, yeah, he couldn't catch. He caught 7 in the regular season. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's incredibly disappointing with Arian Smith. I don't think you can rely on him. I don't think his roster spot is safe. I think he's a guy that if he's on the team going into training camp, he's competing to make the team. I don't think anything will be handed to him.
And we have a clip up.
It seemed like Arian Smith was making some plays today and getting open. Like, how happy are you with his progress?
The guy that can't catch? What you guys say?
Yeah, he couldn't catch, Aaron. Caught 7 passes. Should have been a 7th round pick at best.
Arian Smith, he had his name to fame as a special teams guy because he never had any impact as an offensive weapon at wide receiver. And now here we are trying to question ourselves. Will the Jets get a wide receiver earlier in this draft? Probably. Tyler Barron, Francisco. Now, Tyler
Barron makes Arian Smith look like Jerry Rice, by the way. Think about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say Barron, I think, is worse.
Barron's definitely worse. He can't even play. At least Arian Smith played a little bit.
And then the linebacker. That's a big position of need, a huge weakness. The Jets drafted Maui Guoa. I always say that name wrong. Does he have a chance to be the 3rd linebacker on this team? Because he got a lot of playing time, the rookie from Miami.
I think he's okay against the run. I don't think he can cover anybody, which is kind of fitting for the Jets linebacker room. That's an issue with everyone who was here last year. So I don't think he's a starter. He's, in my opinion, more of a special teamer depth guy.
So that's your draft class. Let's see what they look like as sophomores. But the good thing is we just said, like, yeah, Armamembu hit and just glossed over him. It's a big deal. Like, that's a hit. That's not something we can just be, yeah, yay, he's a hit. Like, the fact that the Jets got an all-pro potential, and I'll say that, I really do think Armamembu has all-pro in his future. He's a freaking mauler, bro. He is something special. And the fact that the Jets got a rocket right tackle, Olu Fashanu, we talked about that as the main strength of this football team, the offensive line. That is so refreshing, man, because the Jets have been trying to build through the trenches on the offensive line for years, and I feel like they finally have a foundation that is young, that's only going to get better as long as they continue to stay healthy and they develop with the right coaches. All right, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. Strengths and weaknesses of the New York Jets roster, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button as well. Appreciate that. Some people are not talking about this, which is why I got to talk about it. There's an opportunity here for the New York Jets to blow up this roster, and I think that they will to an extent. I think there's certain guys on this team that are tradable, and the Jets traded away Sauce Gardner. They traded away Quinnen Williams. Why will they not trade guys on the team this offseason? That's what usually happens when you get a new coaching staff in the building. Is there anybody that comes to your mind of the Jets potentially trading away? I think that the only untouchable really is Garrett Wilson. I mean, I feel like everybody else is up for grabs. And I'll even put a two-parter. Is there a world where the Jets transition tag and trade Breece Hall in this scenario where instead of letting him walk, they can slap the tag on him and trade him to get something? Or maybe there's another guy out there you see the Jets trading away. Jake, I'll start off with you. Is there a world where the Jets trade away somebody on this roster this offseason?
Definitely. I mean, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Jamie and Sherwood, I think they definitely all could be traded. Saleh is now a head coach again in Tennessee, so there's a possibility there. I'd look at Atlanta. They retained Jeff Ulbrich, so I think there's a possibility that some of the former or current Jets could be valuable there. So I'd start connecting the dots with just those two teams for starters. Again, you know, if the Jets take Ruben Bain at 2, are they more willing to trade Jermaine Johnson or Will McDonald in this scenario? I think everything's on the table. I think the only guys who are really untradeable besides Garrett is probably the 2 tackles with Membu and Olu as well. I think other than that, everyone else you could tell me is available to be used in a trade.
So who do you think that the Jets will be actively shopping? It's one thing for the Jets to shop somebody and another thing for teams to call the Jets about a specific player. The Jets were never shopping, per se, Sauce Gardner. The Colts were calling him, and he's like, hey, bro, I'm not trading Sauce unless you really blow me away. They blew him away. Sauce is gone. Is there somebody on this roster that a team could be targeting, like a Jamie Sherwood or a Will McDonald or a Jermaine Johnson? That's the 3 guys that I think come to my mind that has any value that's still young. Your thoughts, Matt? Anybody you think the Jets could be trading away?
Yeah, I was going to say Jermaine Johnson, just because he's going into last year of his deal. You have to make a decision with his 5th-year option, and with the Jets at the number 2 pick, I think it's probably pretty likely they're going to take an edge player there. It depends, right? Maybe it's Carnell Tate, but the names that are brought up the most feels like it's Ruben Bain, Arvell Reese. David Bailey's been a little bit more recently. So if they do that, I think an edge could be expendable, and Jermaine Johnson to the Tennessee Titans and Robert Saleh for like a 4th or 5th round pick seems like it's pretty likely to happen this offseason.
You know, Saleh's calling the Jets about everything. He's probably like calling the Colts already. I want Sauce on my team as well. Hey, bro, you can already tell that the former Jets are going to go to the Tennessee Titans, and the Jets will be facing off against the Titans this year in Tennessee. It's going to be week 1. I promise you that. But Jamie Sherwood, do you think he's safe? The Jets gave him that big extension last year before he hit the open market. He kind of had a down season. He's leveled up his game. I will give him credit towards the end of the season. But is he that CJ Mosley captain, like where he really is the glue? Because CJ was a different energy. You know, David Harris when we had him, Bart Scott when we had him, Demario Davis. Like, the Jets have had a lot of middle linebackers that felt like the guy. Is Jamie Sherwood that guy that can really be the face of this defense to make them a top 5, top 10 unit? Jake, what's your level of confidence in Jamie Sherwood of having a bounce back season this year?
I think it will depend on who the defensive coordinator is. I think it'll be better, though. I still like Sherwood. The fact that he was voted team MVP a year ago and then became unplayable at times this year, I don't think he just forgot how to play football. I think the coaching was an abomination on that side of the ball. If you get Sherwood in the right system, the right DC that could utilize his strengths, I think there's a role for him on this team where he could still be an effective player. Maybe he's not a middle linebacker. Maybe he plays more on the outside in whatever defense they're running. If they got, like, let's say Anzalone from the Lions in free agency, and he's the Mike linebacker, he's calling the defense, and Sherwood could play more sideline to sideline, I bet you he could be a way more effective player next year.
Yeah, and he's a unique player. The Jets drafted him as a safety from Auburn. And then Saleh and his coaching staff transitioned him to inside linebacker, and he slowly developed. We were all obsessed with Hamza Nasruddin, if you remember, in that draft class. But it turned up to be Jamian Sherwood to be the guy that develops. Where is Hamza Nasruddin? Is he even in the NFL? No, right? Practice squad?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that was the guy we're like, Jim! Nope. It's Jamian Sherwood, baby. Now, I think Will McDonald, you brought up a good point. The Jets have a big decision to make. What is Will McDonald's value? If they do not pick up his fifth-year option and they want to trade him away, edge rushers is a premium. He had a double-digit sacks 2 years ago. Like Jake just mentioned, he had a game with 4 sacks, another game with 3 sacks. They come in bunches, not consistent. If the Jets were to trade Will McDonald and shop him, what's the value for Will McDonald? Second, third and a fifth, former first-round pick.
Yeah, third. I think second might be a little high for him off the year that he had. If it was 2 years ago, I think that's probably a little bit more likely, but I think you'd be selling low. So a third and change, maybe.
Would you do that if their Jets are drafting an edge at 2?
Depends on who they take. If they take David Bailey, I think he's more similar to Will McDonald. So if their choice was to trade Will McDonald and keep Jermaine Johnson, I kind of understand that from a roster building point. Although if it was Ruben Bain or Arvell Reese, I think they're more similar to Jermaine Johnson. So he's the one that's more expendable in that case.
Yeah, because I really think it comes down to you right now. The Jets have to pick between Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. So if you're Darren Muji, Jake, who would you prefer to keep long-term, Jermaine Johnson or Will McDonald? Because if you're drafting someone at 2 and then you're committed to Jermaine/McDonald, you cannot commit to them both. You can, but I don't think they're going to. Who would you rather have?
I think I lean McDonald, believe it or not, because I think his skill set might be more valuable than what Jermaine does if Jermaine doesn't get back to pre-Achilles form. And that might be unfair because I'm judging it based off of this past year, but I feel like McDonald in the right system on the right team, he can help you close out games and win games. I think Jermaine's a well-rounded edge player, but he's more of like a Calvin Pace type rather than a John Abraham type, like what Will McDonald could do, where he can consistently get double-digit sacks, I believe, in the right system. So I never thought I'd say this. I think it might be McDonald because there's a good chance they draft, like, let's say Ruben Bain at 2, and then all of a sudden you have your Jermaine replacement right there.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be extremely interesting to see if you put up Jermaine or Will McDonald on the trade block. I guarantee you a lot of teams would be interested. Former first-round picks, still young, still a lot of upside, still room for improvement. And I think that, the reason why I bring up this topic, though, is I don't think a lot of people are thinking about this, that the Jets right now prove to me, at least, when they're trading away Sauce and Quinnen, that they want to break up this team. They want to break up the core that was left for them. There's some guys they really believe in, like a Garrett Wilson, and that is an obvious one, by the way. The Jets are not trading away Garrett. They made him untradeable. Unless Garrett Wilson, for every reason, says he wants out, which I do not see happening. I mean, Garrett Wilson is just a breath of fresh air, man. The guy loves the Jets and defends the Jets on public. He went toe-to-toe with Stephen A. Smith about the Jets. Can we just take a moment and appreciate Garrett Wilson for a second? Because as bad as we are, doesn't it feel good to have him defending us to the public?
He doesn't deserve this. Garrett doesn't deserve this, man. He deserves so much better.
What do we do, Matt, to help him?
A lot. They need a lot of help.
A new coach for starters would be helpful.
Quarterback
would help. He is just so freaking loyal to the Jets, and it just makes me so happy. But I just want him to be a long-time Jet and be successful, man. I talked to him at training camp this past year when I was there, and I was just chopping it up with him. And I was like, Garrett, I would love to have you on the show. You know what he said to me? When we start winning. And I'm like, well, I guess you're never coming on, Garrett.
See you never, Garrett.
See you never. Because that's what he said. He's like, I can't go on shows when we're losing, man. It's just, he can't handle it. And I don't blame the guy. But it's like, when we start winning and we start turning this thing around, I'll come on your show, Richie. And I'm like, all right, I'll hold you to it, Garrett. So you're coming on when? Now, the next question is, when the heck we're going to start winning? But only time will tell. Sad. But we love you, Garrett Wilson. Shout out to everybody tuning in on the chat. We appreciate you guys tuning in to another edition of a Jets Roundtable Live, our last segment. We talked about it already, but let's go deeper into it. New York Jets draft targets at pick number 2, pick number 16. We saw a mock draft of Mel Kiper come out with an Arvell Reese and a Ty Simpson. We've seen Ruben Bain linked to the Jets at 2. You can say Mekhi Lemon's there. I saw a mock where the Jets drafted David Bailey at 2 and then went Denzel Boston at 16. I mean, you name it. There's so many different hypothetical scenarios of where the New York Jets can go here in the first round. It makes things that much more interesting. So everybody let us know in the comments right now, where do you want the Jets to go at number 2 and at number 16? And let's see if anybody is right when April rolls around. So Matt, I'll start off with you. Who do you want the Jets to go with at 2, and who do you want them to go at 16? I know that you do your weekly mocks and you go through all these different scenarios, but where do you want the Jets to go if you are Mr. Darren Muji?
I think as of today, I would go Ruben Bain and Mekhi Lemon, which are the 2 people on the graphic. So good job, Richie. I think Bain just really took over in the playoffs, and I really like that. I think on early downs, he can line up at edge. On pass rushing downs, you could line him up on the inside, kind of like what they did with John Franklin Myers. I think his ceiling is obviously much higher than what a John Franklin Myers is, although a really good player that they should have never gotten rid of. And for Lemon, I think they just need, like we said earlier, they need another wide receiver to this room. I love the yards after the catch ability. I think he catches everything, has great hands, and could really do some damage in the slot. So I think those are my top 2 targets for the Jets in the first round.
Jake, make the case for Ty Simpson at number 2. I'm just kidding.
If you want to guarantee the first pick in 27, yeah, I would love to see them potentially go offensive player at 2. I know that might be popular, but to me, they have to get a big time player with this pick. And in every mock I see, Cornell Tate or Jordan Tyson are literally going 4 or 5. It feels like. So if they could go 4 or 5, why can't the Jets just take that level of player at 2 and then address defense at pick 16 for those who really want defense, whether that be Sonny Styles, who could be there at 16, or maybe it's one of the other pass rushers that slides. I think there'll be an opportunity there. I would take Bain right now over any of the defensive players if I had to make a pick, but I'm going to start really watching David Bailey, including next week at the Senior Bowl, and open myself up to the possibility of him being in play there as well. But my big thing is, it's an offensive league. We've done the defensive thing so many times. Why not get a stud receiver next to Garrett, regardless who our quarterback is this year and going forward, have those guys together and dummy-proof our offense? That, to me, would be exciting.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here because it seems like the majority of Jets fans are all on the same page. Edge rusher at 2, wide receiver at 16. Is there any other positions? Because the way I always look at the draft is I always try my best to expect the unexpected. What we're talking about right now, we're expecting an edge or best player available on defense at 2 and a wide receiver at 16. Say it's not an edge at 2 and not a wide receiver at 16. What other positions even is there to consider and the players that you feel like they could get at number 2 or 16? This is more of a question for, I would say, the 16th pick. Because number 2, it's like that's definitely the prime spot for an edge. The other guy would be like a Caleb Downs or a wide receiver at that spot. But say they go edge at 2. Is there another position that's not a wide receiver that you can see the Jets go at 16, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, linebacker Sonny Styles, I think
he's off the board.
He's off the board, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then, I don't know, interior defensive line. There's the guy from Ohio State. Is it my favorite route? No, but if we're trying to just give us options here, that'd be another one to go down, I would say.
Double down on edge and defensive line, first 2 picks.
Yeah, love it.
Hey, man, offensive line's looking good, so why not build out that defensive line? What about you, Jake? Your thoughts of another position besides wide receiver in the first round at 16?
I think you could go safety. I think you can go linebacker. I think you can go corner. You could also go interior offensive line for sure. I don't think that's crazy and really just solidify things. I honestly, most positions are in play. Quarterback is definitely in play there. I think that's the earliest I'd take Ty Simpson. I still wouldn't love it, but at least, it's not at 2. Really, anything's in play at that point. Depends on the board. And my dream scenario is they trade out at pick 2 And if they can't do that, they trade out of pick 16 and let's just get extra picks and build the roster up.
So there's not going to be any tight end debates about getting the Oregon tight end at 16 anymore on Jets Twitter?
Wouldn't it be crazy if they took a tight end now after we did 2 straight years of Bowers and Warren and Loveland discussion just for them to take an inferior prospect in the 3rd straight drive? Like in year 3 of this, no one's having the debate, and that's when they take the first round tight end?
It's probably when it's going to happen.
Team weapon. Get the weapon
team.
in here.
Team weapon, team trench, and weapon. Now we got 2 picks.
Yeah, why not both?
Hey, I mean, listen, I just try to expect the unexpected. There's probably going to be some, like, who the heck saw Will McDonald being the pick at 15 that year?
Nobody.
We had months of mock drafts, not one. And if you are a Jets fan that mocked him to the Jets, congrats. But I don't think any of us had that. I wanted the Jets to draft JSN then. That was my guy. JSN. And now look at him. About to go to the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. I'm about to trade Will McDonald. Come on, man. Make me the GM. I'm just kidding. I'm not right all the time. I just like to celebrate my wins at some points. But, folks, let us know who you want the Jets to go in the first round at pick 2 and pick 16 in the comment section right now. We appreciate that, as always, tuning in here to the Jets Roundtable. We're going to wrap things up now, baby. We got a lot of exciting things happening. So here are our final thoughts, breaking all things down. I want to give a quick big shout out to everybody that's tuning in on the live chat right now. It's pretty awesome, man. I really do appreciate everybody that's tuning into the live stream. I think we hit a record 300 live we hit at one point on the Jets Roundtable. Wow. Can we get a round of applause for that? So just want to remind you guys, we're live every single Thursday at 3 p.m. We're going to be uploading clips throughout the entire week. We also have a special intern working on the Jets Roundtable behind the scenes that you probably will meet and be on this show. You'll see content from him on the channel as well. His name is Matthew Wilson, and he is your favorite future sportscaster. That is his lingo, and I absolutely love him and excited to get him in here on the Jets Roundtable. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Jets Roundtable. Jake, anything you want to say to the people, man? I'll see you next week, bro.
Enjoy your week, Jet fans. Root like hell for Denver on Sunday. And Richie and I will have you live from Mobile next week on our channel, so we're looking forward to it.
The Vegas of Bama, baby. How about you, Matt?
Go Jared Stidham, baby. Let's go. QB1. Have a day Sunday. That's what I'm ending this show with.
Jared Stidham, man. I don't want to cover a Patriots Super Bowl, bro. I want to be excited to interview these guys. Oh my gosh. There's no way the Patriots going to the Super Bowl. Please do something, Jared Stidham. Force turnovers, Pat Surtain. But we'll see you guys next edition on the Jets Roundtable. We're going to have to get creative, actually, for the next 2 episodes of the Jets Roundtable, since both Jake and I will be at the Senior Bowl and the Super Bowl. So maybe we'll figure out a different time slot that's not exactly Thursday at 3 to make it work, or we'll get creative. We'll talk about this off air, of course. But hey, love you guys as always. Let's go Jets, and I'll see you next time. Peace.